UML. Now coming to the third one, that is the UML diagrams. This is the third part of the UML building block. Diagrams are what? These are the graphical representation. We all know what a diagram is. So these are graphical representation in which we have connected graph of vertices and the paths. When I say vertices, I mean to say the things, and when I say path, I mean to say the link between the things, that is the relationship between the things. If we have two objects, so they are being the vertices and the relationship between them being the link or the path. So while we are drawing these particular UML diagrams, we are going to visualize a system with different perspectives. This we have already elaborated in the earlier session. What I mean to say by different perspectives. That means the visualization of one system will be taken up with the different focus and different perspective according to different people in the team, right? Now there are 13 types of diagrams in UML: class diagram, object, component, composite, use case, sequence, communication, state, activity, deployment, package, timing, and interaction. These we are going to do it in unit 2 completely. So I'm not going to cover it out here. Okay, so basically I'm just going to tell you that again diagrams are being divided into two classes. These particular diagrams are divided into two classes, one being the structural diagrams and the other being the behavioral diagrams. I've already told you this has the same concept. That means structural diagrams are going to capture the static aspect, that is the structure of the system, while behavioral diagrams are going to capture the dynamic aspect or the behavior of the system. Fine. So we have taken the examples. In structural diagram, we have the component, the object, the class, and the deployment. While in behavioral diagrams, we have the use case, we have state diagram, we have activity, and we have interaction diagrams. So now I've just shown you the chart of all the 13 diagrams, which is falling under the two category, one as the behavioral diagram and this other one as the structural diagram. So all these are forming under the behavioral and all these are forming under the structural diagram based on the dynamic nature and the static nature. This is having the static nature and this is having the dynamic nature. So moving further, this is the conceptual model which we have already seen. So we have covered this particular building block completely. We have done three parts: the things, the relationship, and the diagrams. Fine. Things are further divided into 4 and further divided. We have all covered all these. Relationship again divided into 4. We have covered these. Diagrams, I told you that we are going to cover it in detail in unit 2. Now, this was the first part of conceptual diagram. Second part of conceptual diagram is what? Rules. And the third part is the mechanism, common mechanism. Now we are going to cover the rules and the common mechanism. Now see the rules. What are the rules? The rules are, for any particular type, we all know when I say you have to follow the rules. Rules means we are already specifying you how you are going in the examination. You have to follow the rules. That means you do not have to carry any unfair means. You have to carry your admit cards. You have to carry your ID. So these are what? These are the specifications you have to follow. So similarly, we have the rules in the UML, conceptual UML. It is going to specify how these particular building blocks are coming together to develop the diagrams, how these particular diagrams are going to be developed. These rules enables us or enable the users to create a well-formed models so that these models are self-consistent and these are also consistent with other models so as to be a successful one. Fine. So UML has basically these particular 5 rules: the name, the scope, the visibility, the integrity, and the execution. Name means, first of all, we need to identify the things and the relationship, and we have to define all these as the names. Second, let's say we have a class of vehicle, and in this we have the object as car. There is a relationship between car and vehicle, and so on and so forth. So these are providing the names. Second one is the scope. Scope is going to give you a specific meaning to a name. That means I'm going to make sure that there is a scope attached to specific class and object. Next one is visibility. Now visibility is how these particular names are going to be seen by other or can be used by others. It can be like if I am saying there is a property or there is an operation which is public, which is private, which is protected. So all these are provided as visibility access. Okay. Fourth one is integrity. Integrity is how the things are related to one another. They should be related properly. And lastly, the execution. That means it is going to define what it means to execute, to run, or to simulate a model. So these are the basic rules of UML. Now we have the common mechanism, the final one. What is this common mechanism? This is the third part of conceptual model. Again, it is helpful in defining the UML diagrams. How? There are 4 points: specification, endowments, common divisions, and extensibility mechanism. We are just going to see what are these actually. First one is specification. What is a specification? Specification is going to give you a precise detail about an element which is represented. Example, whenever I am going to define a class, right, I have a graphical notation for this class. I'll write the name out here, I'll write the attributes out here, and I'll write the operations out here, right? Operations, attributes, and the name of the class. So when we see the class icon, it will specify the name, attribute, and operation, and it is having all the detail behind it. So these are the specifications, so that we can graphically understand what is the name and what are the attributes and operations of this particular specific class. So specifications are these, how we are giving the precise information about the element which we are representing, right? Now, second one is endowments. Endowments is we are going to allow the user to specify extra information. That means if I have a class and if I have certain, see, I've taken an example, I have a class transaction, and in which in this I have the operations execute, rollback, priority, and timestamp. But I have given a symbol out here, plus, hash, and minus. What does these symbols mean? I can also give it without these symbols, but these symbol will tell me the extra information. It is going to give me the extra information. It is going to give me the visibility of these. That is, execute will be visible to all. That means this is public. Plus sign is for public. Hash sign is for protected. This priority is protected. Minus is for private. All these are giving you the extra information related to the specific operation or whatever it is. So these are called as endowments, right? Now moving on to further the third, that is the common divisions. Now what is this common divisions? Common divisions are, it is helpful in graphically separating the class and an object. There is a separation between a class and an object. There is a separation between an interface and its implementation. How? I'll just show you with the help of this example. I have a class that is called as customer. There is a name, there is an address, there is phone number. But I have 3 objects out here. You can see 3 objects in different forms. First one is the Jan colon customer. That means Jan is what? This is an object which is marked explicitly as customer object. Jan is the name and it is explicitly marked as the customer object. Fine. While you can see the second one as the customer. There is blank colon customer. This is what? This is anonymous customer object, right? There is no name out here. So I would say this is an anonymous customer object. And earlier one, this is the explicitly marked, because we are marking the name and we are marking that this belongs to a customer class. And the third one is the Alice. Alice is what? This is, here it is specifying a kind of customer object which is explicitly not shown here, right? We have just defined the ls, but we have not shown the colon customer. That means what? This means that we are not explicitly defining the customer object here. Fine. So that is how we are discriminating, or how we are separating the class and the objects. This class, these are three objects which are similar, which are related to this class, but they are being different, and they are being different graphically only. In the graphical format only, I can easily know that this is the explicit class of customer object, this is anonymous, and this is the one which is the customer object, but it is not shown explicitly here. So this is what the common divisions are. Now the last thing, that is the extensibility mechanism. Now extensibility, the name suggests, as the name suggests, extending mechanism. What we are doing here, we are going to see that the language is being controlled, and at the same time we can, or the user can extend the language. How? There are three things. One is the stereotypes allows to declare new building blocks, that is the stereotypes. Second one, tag values, it allows to extend the properties, defining the extra information. And third one, it allows to, extend the semantics of UML building block, such as specifying new rules or existing rules, modify. So there are three things. What is? First is stereotype. In this, we extend the vocabulary. That means users are allowed to declare new building blocks. In tag values, properties are extended, while in constraints, semantics are extended in UML. Right? We can just show it here with an example. This is a class event queue, and these are what? These are the operations. Now here I have given added information. You can see here. This particular is called an extended version. This is extensibility. I have given the version as 3.2. I have given the author as EGB. So these are what? These are providing the extension mechanism, extensibility mechanism. I have shown the exceptional overflow here, right? This one. So this is what? These are showing the extensibility mechanism. So that is how we have done all the conceptual model rules, that is building blocks, rules, all the rules, and the mechanism. So thank you for this